Hello guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Dolakpadu if you are new here, and I film about fully funded scholarships in the UK and also other global opportunities for international students. In today's video, as you can tell from the title, I'm going to be talking about how I was able to secure a full-time job before my master's ended. So for those of you that don't know, I studied a master's in public health and international development at the University of Sheffield on a fully funded scholarship. Now, before my master's ended, that's basically when I was even writing my dissertation. I'd already gotten an offer, and I'm going to be sharing some helpful tips that you can use as well. And I believe that this video is very timely because it was around this time last year that I was already sending in my applications. I was applying for jobs, working on my CV and my cover letter and things like that. So if that's something you're interested in, then sit back and keep watching. First of all, definitely all glory to God because I would never have been able to even get a full-time role or even get offered a job without God's help. So definitely I would say number one, pray. Pray a lot is very, very important. Ask for God to guide you, to direct you. I'm a Christian, and so I believe in prayers and I believe in the mighty power and hand of God. Now, the second thing I would say is volunteering. And I think I've shared this before in one of the videos on my channel, how volunteering is very important. Now, that's because when you do your studies or when you start your studies, for example, you don't really have that much professional experience when you're done with your studies. Now, you might have worked back home, you might have had some professional experience, even if it's 10 years, 12 years, 13 years experience. But because it's not exactly a professional experience here, in the UK, it's not really doesn't really carry as much weight as you having a professional experience here. So that means that most times, if you were to apply for a job with someone that had maybe even 1 year or 2 years of professional experience here in the UK, and you maybe had like maybe 5 years of experience back home, there is likely chance that the other person that had some experience here would be picked. Why? Because they understand that the system back home is quite different from the system here. The work culture as well is quite different. So they kind of carry that. And I'm not saying that that's right, but I'm just saying that that's what usually happens. It doesn't happen for everyone. There are some people that have years of experience back home and are still able to use that experience and apply for and get a job or an offer here. So it doesn't apply to everyone, but just to be on the safe side, it's important that you build up that experience. Now you're just finishing your studying. So how are you going to be able to have that professional experience? One of the things that you can do is actually volunteering. Now, volunteering in your CV also carries as much weight as well because whatever you're doing is vital, is relevant. The difference is that you're not getting paid for what you're doing, unlike a professional full-time role. And that's why whatever organization you're going to be volunteering in, make sure that it's significant to the kind of career you want to have later or the kind of job you want to apply for later on. So let's say, for example, you wanted to apply for a banking role and you're volunteering in a healthcare role. It doesn't really, add up because some of the skills and the experiences that will be needed for that banking role you want to apply for, you may not be able to prove that in volunteering for a healthcare role. Maybe things like teamwork, for example, you might be able to do that, or maybe organization, but the main core skills that are needed in that banking role, you might not be able to prove that with volunteering for a healthcare role. So it's important that you make sure that that aligns. So what I did was that during my time while I was studying, in fact, I think 2 or 3 months into my master's study, I'd already started volunteering in different organizations. So I studied public health and I was looking forward to a job or a public health role. So I wanted to make sure that whichever organizations I'm volunteering in were public health organizations. Now, I was even as bold as actually reaching out to a guest speaker that came to deliver a lecture during my studies. So she runs an NGO. She's the CEO of an NGO. And I was like, you know what, this would be a great opportunity for me to volunteer in. So I walked up to her and I told her, oh, I would like to apply to be a volunteer in your organization. She's like, oh, that's great. She scheduled an interview. I had an interview with her and I got the volunteer role. So sometimes you just have to be bold and confident enough. If you see an opportunity to volunteer in an organization, most organizations are looking for volunteers because they're not paying you and you're working for them. Do you get what I'm saying? But most times they're usually open to it. So just have a look at places that you can volunteer in to get that kind of experience. And this is even more practical if, for example, you are still in the process of studying. So let's say you are still studying, you can do that alongside your studies as well, if you don't have any demanding maybe part-time job that you're doing at the moment. So I volunteered in about 3 organizations, and I did that because I wanted to give some body to my CV, because the only professional experience I had was back home as a medical doctor. So I decided to volunteer in more organizations. Was it a good idea? I don't know, to be honest, because at some point it was quite stressful. I'm not even going to lie, trying to combine working in 3 different organizations. Some of the organization I was working from home, some I had to be there, some it was just once in a while to just maybe organize an event or something, but it was still quite stressful. So just know your capacity, know what you can handle. One is fine, as much as you stay there for a while, you get the skills you need to get the experiences you need to get, it will be worth it at the end. So that's my first pro tip. Try to do some volunteering to get that experience that you need for you to apply for jobs later. Second one is starting to apply for graduate internship roles on time. Now, when I started in September of 2022, and I remember that there was an opportunity to apply for some graduate internship roles, which will start in, let's say, November of 2023. That is a year after, or by that time I knew I would already be done with my master. So it was like forward planning. So I applied for a few graduate internships. Some of them I didn't get, which was fine, but at least it gave me that opportunity to actually apply to see what was out there. Now, one very good tip I would give is that look out for what we call the 10,000 black interns. You can have a look at it. Actually, applications are opened right now to apply for an internship role with 10,000 black interns. So it's basically kind of like where you can find some internship or graduate internship experiences. And this is very useful for you if you're just finishing. So they're not really expecting you to have so much years of experience, because they understand a graduate internship role or an internship role, they understand that you are just finishing your studies. So they don't require you to have that much experience. So definitely be on the lookout for those kind of things. I'm going to put the link in description so you can apply for the 10,000 black interns. If unfortunately for me, by the time I heard about it, the application had already closed, so I wasn't able to apply. But I always recommend it to people whenever the applications open, that please do apply. I do know people that have actually gotten some internship roles through that pathway, and it really helps. And the public health or in the health department, there's this NHS graduate management scheme as well, which is also, I think that usually opens around November. I'm not sure. I think I applied for it like in November. I didn't get to the next stage, but at least I was grateful that at least I knew the opportunity. So look out for graduate internship roles. Most times they usually start the application a year before it's about to start, because they believe that you will start after your studies. So if you just started your studies, you're about to start this year, let's say September, or you just started, then definitely be on the lookout for those internship roles that you can start afterwards. What internship does is that it gives you that experience that you need. So even if it's a 1-year internship, the NHS Management Scheme I talked about is a 2-year internship, so that's really good as well, and you get paid. So this internship, most of them, they're actually paid internship that you can do, so definitely be on the lookout for those ones. Now, number 3, aside from volunteering in, let's say, organizations, you can even volunteer in your church. Now, what I did was that in my local church, what I do is that I serve in the youth department. So I work with like youth and young people. Now, trust me, I was able to use this experience in my CV and in my job application, and eventually got the job. Now, that was because the role I was applying for, although not a public health one, and I'm going to be talking about that soon, although it wasn't a public health role, but it was a role that required me to have experience working with young people. And then immediately I saw that, the first thing I could think about was that I work in the youth department in my church. I work with young people there. So I was able to use that experience to apply for this job. So even if you are working in the department, let's say the music department, the tech department in your church, for example, or even in your community, that experience also counts as well. So don't be afraid to put that in your CV, that, oh, okay, I just work in the tech department in my church. It's not valid. If it's a role that requires you to have that experience, then please put it in there. Every experience counts when it comes to applying for jobs. You might think that every experience that is associated with what you're applying for. I mean, not just any experience at all, but it really counts. So don't neglect any experience or think that it's too small, or I volunteered in this, I volunteered in that. I don't think it's valuable. They are all valuable experiences that you can put in your CV and your cover letter to apply for jobs. But that was what I did. Next point I would say is be open to anything. And that's why I said I was coming to. Now, when I was applying for jobs initially, that was around June, July, I think that was like June, July, when I was about to start, or I was working on my dissertation. I was applying for jobs at the meantime because I really wanted to get a job immediately after my master's. I didn't want to have to wait because I was looking at my pockets and my finances, and I'm like, I need a job after my master's. So that was why I started my application early. Now, when I was applying for jobs, then I was applying for mainly public health roles, and I think that was one of the mistake I made. I do have a mentor in London who gave me an advice at the beginning of the year, that be open to anything. Like, it might not be the exact role you're looking for that you might land the first time, but just work or do something that would now take you there. I used that advice. So when I was applying for public health jobs, I wasn't getting them. I wasn't being called for interviews. I even went to the career service in my school. So your university will usually have a career service where you can go to and ask for help for them to review your CV and your cover letter. So I found that really helpful. So I went there, I showed them my CV and cover letter. Everything was looking fine. I was like, why am I not getting this public health roles? But eventually another opportunity came. Now, this was also an internship role. It was a graduate internship job. And I got forwarded like the email saying that, oh, apply for this job from my school, because I used to work part-time. So while I was studying, I forgot to mention, I used to work part-time as a student ambassador. So basically what that means is that when new students come to the school, you are kind of like the person that shows them around. You do like campus tours as well. You are usually the one that works during open days when students are coming to check out the school and they want to find out more about the subject you're studying, or more about the school and things like that, or the university rather, and things like that. You are like the person that they go to meet, and you show them around, you explain things to them, you share your experiences with them basically. So it was like a part-time job which I was doing while I was studying as well. It wasn't regularly, it was just mainly when they were open days. So if you do have the opportunity in your school as well, I would say definitely apply for it. That's also a good part-time job that you can do. So because I was doing that, when this graduate internship role was opened, the same, like the department that usually like staffs us, sent that email to every one of us that were like about to finish our studies, saying that, oh, there's this opportunity that has opened in the other university in where I stay, in the city where I stay, that apply for this. So when I saw it, it wasn't health related, it wasn't public health related. So if the first part of me was like, should I apply for this? But then I remembered what my mentor had said, that be open to any opportunity that you see, as long as it's a good opportunity that you know that you can always work your way up to what you want to do later. So I decided to go for that. Now, the requirement was that, like I said, I needed to have experience working with young people. So my church, or working in my church, that experience really was valuable in this. Then also because I'd volunteered as well, and some of the organizations I volunteered with as well, I got to work with young people. So I was able to use that experience as well. Now, also because I was working part-time as a student ambassador, that also gave me the opportunity to say that, yes, I've worked with young people. And the role also involved more of like an educational role. So it really fits, like everything just fits together for that role. So when I read the person specification, and I was like, I can definitely apply for this job. I have the experience that they're looking for. So I didn't have any professional experience, but all the other experience that I had, like my volunteering, working in church, working part-time, I was able to use all of that as well. Now, aside from that, now coming to my next tip, I'm not sure what number we are at now, but I hope you are taking notes down and you're just following me. So the next tip I would say as well is that think of what added skill that you can have. So aside from the role that you want to apply for, think of what else can I bring to this role. Now, I do YouTube, and I have a YouTube channel where I give advice about education, about fully funded scholarships. And trust me, I use my YouTube experience. Like, every experience counts. Even if you're a YouTuber, you can use that. So lo and behold, I told them that, oh, I have a YouTube channel, I have so subscribers. So thank you all for subscribing, because I was able to brag about my subscribers because you guys had subscribed. I showed them the video as well. I showed them screenshots of like the kind of videos I've done, and they were quite impressed that, okay, this is an educational role, and I already had a YouTube channel, opportunities for international students, fully funded scholarships. So it kind of made me stand out amongst all other applicants that maybe didn't have that kind of added skill. So that's why you have to think of it that while you are still studying, or even if you are done studying and the person of applying, what extra skills do you have? What extra things do you do that you can actually, that would be beneficial for that role? Because most times they're looking for people that can also stand out, because the competition is high. There are so many people applying for jobs at the moment. So you want to be able to bring something to them to say, this is what makes me stand out. And for me, it was my social media skills. It was my YouTube channel as well. I was able to bring all of that together to say, see, I'm the perfect candidate that you are looking for. So I was able to express that, and I did so well in my interview. Glory be to God. And I was offered the job. So I'm sure you get my point here to say that everything and every experience that you have is very, very valuable. If you do YouTube, your YouTube channel could come in handy for a job application. If you write blogs, you can also put that in, because what if the organization is looking for a blogger? You can be the one to actually do that as your, maybe your cross team responsibility, because now they'll see you as a value, as an asset to the organization. So you have to have that extra skill. If it's, for example, a tech job, maybe there are some other tech applications that other people don't know how to use, that you know how to use. That could be your added extra skill that you can bring to your role and to the job. Don't just have just your educational experience and maybe just professional experience. Have some extra skills that you can use to show that I will be an asset to your organization. Next thing I will also say in terms of like added skill is also developing yourself through online courses. So at the same time, I was also doing some online courses as well, which I also used. So in the application, they had asked like, oh, what have you been doing to develop yourself? So I was able to say that, oh, look, I've been doing this project management course. It's going to end in so time. So that was also like, impressive. You're also doing project management. So they can see that I'm developing myself. So it's very, very important in this time and age where competition is high. You need to develop yourself. Like, you need to develop your skills as well. It doesn't have to necessarily be in what you are doing. It could be in another field. For example, I was doing health, but I was doing a course in project management because I just wanted to have that extra, spice, that added value, that when they see my CV, my cover letter, when they see me interview, that can be able to see, I do this, I do that. So of course, don't overwhelm yourself with so many things, but it's important to also develop yourself. Look for some online courses. Like, you can go to Coursera, for example. I'll put the link in my description. You can go there, find a course. Some of them are free, some of them are not. I remember applying to get like an exemption not to pay, and I actually got that, like, because I didn't have the money to pay for the particular project management course, and there was an option to apply or request to get that course for free, and I did that. I told them I really wanted to, I can't remember what I said, but I just explained to them that I didn't have the money, but I really wanted to do this course, and eventually I was given the course for free. So you can, even if you think that you don't have the opportunity for the course, that's also an opportunity for you. You can actually apply. I don't know if it's still done now, but I know as at last year when I was applying, I was able to do this course without actually paying for it. So I got a fee exemption for it. So think about some courses that you can do to develop yourself. It's very, very important. My next point is optimize your LinkedIn. I cannot overemphasize this before. I've been offered jobs through my LinkedIn, and I would say that's because I try to make my LinkedIn updated. Now, I see some people's LinkedIn, they have not posted since 2020. And I'm like, fam, no, don't do that. Like, your LinkedIn has to be optimized. A lot of employers are looking through your LinkedIn. I remember a colleague of mine who had recently applied for a job was telling me that she could, because on LinkedIn, LinkedIn will tell you people that are viewing your profile. So apparently the employers or the recruiters in the organization that she wanted to apply to, they were viewing her LinkedIn profile. And she saw it and she's like, can you imagine that these people were viewing? I'm like, and the first question I asked her was like, is your LinkedIn optimized? She was like, yes, it's updated. I'm like, okay, that's good. Because employers actually check your LinkedIn. I know I've heard of people that have been giving jobs through LinkedIn without even having to apply. Like I've reached out to them and say, oh, I can see the amazing work you're doing. Would you like to apply for so role in my company? I personally have been sent a message from an organization here in the UK asking me to apply for a certain role, but because I already had a job, I was like, no. But then I forwarded it to like my friends and all that I knew that were looking for jobs. So definitely optimize your LinkedIn. It's very important. I cannot overemphasize it. Don't just leave your LinkedIn hanging. If you're just reposting things, repost them. Let your LinkedIn be active. Show the work that you do. You can repost and leave your comment so that people can know that, okay, this is my view about this matter. So whatever niche you are in, do that. And also another useful thing about LinkedIn is that if, for example, you see someone on LinkedIn or you follow someone on LinkedIn who is working an organization that you would love to apply to, why not pop them a message and be like, oh, I'm looking to apply into this organization. Can you give me some helpful tips? Most times it could be someone that has even maybe worked there before in the same role that you're trying to apply to. But they can even give you some advice of what maybe they did, what they did in their application, and what they believe that the employers will be looking for in applicants as well. So that gives you an edge or an added value in terms of your application. So if you see someone on LinkedIn, I remember being given this advice to as well. Reach out to them. People like to be asked questions, but not like irrelevant questions, if you get what I mean. Like ask them valuable questions. Oh, I see the work you're doing, it's amazing. Praise them for the work they are doing before you start asking your question. And the approach by which you approach people is very important. So don't bug people, don't be a pest to them, don't disturb them. If they don't respond to you once, then maybe they are busy. Try maybe 2 weeks later again and ask them. And if they don't respond after then just leave it. Look for someone else in the organization that you can reach out to and ask them the questions you want to ask. But it's important that if you find someone that is doing something that you'd like to do, or maybe in the organization that you'd like to work at, then definitely reach out to them and tell them about that. Who knows, maybe they could even recommend you if they have been seeing your post and you're like, this person seems like a good fit. You never know. So these are basically most of the things that I did and the helpful tips I will give as well. So eventually, by the grace of God, I was able to get an offer for this job, and that was even before I was done with my dissertation. And these are just the things that I did. And I know that someone has actually requested to actually film this video. So I'm like, you know what, now is the time for me to film this video. I wanted to be sure that I was in the right place and I had the right advice to give. So I just remembered all the things that I did. And of course, like I said, prayer is very important. I wouldn't have even done it without God. But these things are very important to be in place. So watch out for my next video where I'll be talking about how to write your CV and your cover letter. Now, I'm not an expert in CV and cover letter, but I can definitely give you some helpful tips and things that I did as well for my CV and for my cover letter. And some of the advice I also received from the career service in my university that I applied to my application as well, that really helped in my job applications. So I hope that this video has been really useful and helpful. If it has, then definitely share it to somebody else who you know is job hunting at the moment, or who you maybe is thinking about applying for jobs very soon before their master's ends, or even after their master's has ended. And also subscribe if you have not subscribed yet with all these nuggets I've been giving. Guys, come on. Please subscribe, show your support and love to this channel by subscribing. I really want to get to about 10k subscribers by the end of this year. So please and please and please definitely subscribe. If you found this video helpful, leave a comment as well. For example, tell me, what have you taken home from this video? What have you really learned from this video? If you have some other helpful tips that maybe I forgot to share, then please put it in the comment section as well. There'll be someone that will be reading the comments that would also find that valuable. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.